So, welcome to episode 16. If you just joined, I'm Maria at Maria the Arcane on Instagram, and this is Robyn at A Tired Witch on Instagram.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It may not be morning for you, but it's definitely morning for us.
Too early.
Yeah, way too early.
So if you are new here with us, every single week we talk about upcoming lunar phases and how basically it's going to affect you and how you can use it magically. And as we've been talking about, or I've been talking about for like the last 3 episodes, was that at some point here I was going to have to skip a lunar phase because it wasn't going to time up. And we've made it. We've arrived. The new moon comes out the day after the next episode comes out. So we'll talk about that then. So instead, I'm going to talk about the blue moon. If you're unfamiliar what a blue moon is, it's when 2 full moon phases, lunar phases. Hello. Hi, good morning. When 2 full moons happen in a solar calendar month. So the first full moon is happening on the 1st of October. Well, as we all know, it happens for 3 days, but it's occurring on the 1st. And then the second one is happening on the 31st. So Halloween, Samhain, etc. And these are really rare. Blue moons, the expression like once in a blue moon comes about because a blue moon happens usually every 2.5 years on average. And
this month it happens in October.
Yeah.
So exciting.
The last time it happened was March, I think, of 2018. That sounds right? I think that was when it happened.
That does sound right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a while. And the reason blue moons are so important or special is because it's like a normal full moon, except for it's like turned up to 11. Yeah, so you normally get a full moon once a month, right? And it happening twice in a month is super rare, and it is basically taking that heightened energy and making it even stronger. And it's exciting and rare and fun. And basically, any single time that you want to really pump up the magic, just wait 2.5 years for a blue moon and do it then. This is a great time for ritual sacrifice, guys. Jot it down. Get your knives out. If you're turning 16 on October 31st, this is going to be a very special dark baptism. Oh my god, I'm kidding. Please. And like literally the 15-year-olds listening to us with their eyes wide open going, I knew it. She is the supreme.
Exactly.
But yes, blue moons are really rare and really wonderful. And basically, you take the normal heightened energy of the full moon and you just crank that shit up full volume and then a little bit further.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, it's going to be crazy because October is already like, the veil is thinning and there's already so much extra energy going around. And then you're throwing in the full moon twice.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot. You're going to feel like super emotional. But then on the other hand, divination is going to be amazing.
I personally can't relate. I've actually never been emotional in my life. So like, I don't really know where that's coming from.
Okay, Cancer baby. Sure.
I've actually never once had an emotion. So like, I don't really know what you're talking about. Couldn't be me. I can't relate. But yeah, just basically, this is the lunar phase that we literally only get once every 2.5-ish years, give or take. And you should take advantage of that. So focusing on working on magic that is needing extra care, extra attention, and you really feel needs that extra kick in the ass, this is the time. And I say, blue moon, go all out. get your tiny little pebbles and cast your circles that way. Maybe do a circle of like tea lights. Go wild. Go crazy. It's exotic.
Do those
it's
big
rare
ritual.
I mean, go ham, man. Get your cloak and dagger. Like, go crazy.
Love it.
Come on, witches. Get crazy. Ritual sacrifice for everyone. But really, don't actually do that. Please don't hurt any animals or children or anything in the process. Thank you.
No. Yeah, please don't.
Or, or do. It's your life.
So, if you just started listening to us, every podcast we talk about a random tarot card. We go over the universal meaning and then our own interpretations of the cards. Hearing others' opinions helps beginners form their own opinions, or even those who have been practicing for a while expand their views on other meanings. So, this week we are talking about the Tower reversed. Yes, not only are we switching it up with a reverse card this week, but with the worst one in the entire deck. You are welcome.
Hey, now, not the worst one. But definitely top 5.
On the image on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you see a tower being struck by lightning, fire pouring out of windows, and people flinging themselves out of the building. Very dramatic. But so the universal meaning of this card when reversed is resisting change and trying to delay the inevitable. And so the way I view this card is more or less the same. You know that meme of the dog sitting in the room that is on fire saying, everything's fine. That is this card reversed. It comes up in readings when someone is doing all they can not to fall apart. They are resisting change, or they are in deep denial that anything is wrong. As much as we would like to avoid tower-like moments in our life, sometimes we have to say, well, this is shitty. This is a terrible situation, but I'm going to go through it to get through it and embrace the fall. When refusing to do that, everything just gets so much worse, and that's what the card represents. The universe will literally flip your world upside down and shake you out of your comfort zone. It is honestly the worst feeling. It'll feel like every single thing is going wrong. While yes, it does take time to navigate out of tower-like situations, so you'll usually find that they were for the best after all. And what you thought you needed and what you thought you wanted was actually something that wasn't serving you. It is truly a kick in the ass from the universe to get on the right track. So, Robyn, how do you view this card?
I was going to make a toxic positivity joke right now, but I couldn't think of a good one. The Tower reversed to me is a self-assured kind of bumpy road. It is basically somebody who's on this sort of inner crusade and they're like, oh, I've got to do this, but they're actually just causing way more damage than they are good. Mm-hmm. When somebody has the best of intentions, but they are so up their own ass that they don't realize that the things they're doing are really detrimental to everyone around them. It's kind of like our dear president. Just jammed up their own ass that they don't realize that they're inflicting a lot of pain. And it basically, to me, is somebody who is very brutal and hurtful with their words. They are nasty and basically refusing to have a little word with themselves on how they're behaving and basically just how they exist in the world. It is that flipping your world upside down, right? And it is just bad. I hate it. Usually I see this card, not necessarily it depends on the context, obviously, but usually shows up as a validation for me that a toxic individual or situation in my life is not just me sort of, I don't know, reaching and being the victim, but that they actually are kind of being shitty and I am seeing it the way that it actually is.
Oh, see, for me, that usually comes up as the Six of Wands reversed. It means another person is being very egocentric and
that makes sense.
Low-key ruining my life.
Yeah, it just because I struggle a lot with perceiving people, I guess, in the way that they actually are. I struggle to I often go into
see the best in people.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I try to see the best in people, and I'm somebody who oftentimes will be like, maybe I'm not understanding where they're coming from. And so I'm just not perceiving the situation properly, right? And so if I do a reading on it and it's the Tower reversed, it's like, oh no, they suck. They're a dick and you're entitled to that feeling. Not that I wouldn't have been entitled to that feeling to begin with, but it is always just that kind of validation that, sometimes people don't deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely agree. Yeah. That's actually sensible.
I
hate
this card.
It's so funny because
for me too, but
our definitions are like completely different, but they both like suck.
Yeah. But isn't that the whole point of this segment?
Yep. 100%. See? We don't agree all the time.
And that's okay. That's part of what makes you stronger. I want to start singing right now, but I'm not gonna put our poor listeners into that position. I know you listen to me sing all the time, and I'm sure she can verify that it's very bad.
No, she is talented. Don't let her lie to you. Don't let her lie.
Mom.
So, we all love spooky season, especially witches, and a lot of new witches get started around this time. You'll find that, though, after November, a lot of witches tend to drop off the radar and never practice again, or wait to drag all their spooky stuff out come next season. This is who we call seasonal witches.
That's what Maria and I, for the record, refer to as seasonal witches. I don't think that's a coined phrase. And so if you're never heard of it, it's probably because her and I have just said it so much to each other that we think it's a phrase we've heard outside of our own conversations. So we might have made that up.
I do think that is the case. But we're going to talk about how to avoid falling into that seasonal witch trope of when you're only practice for this time, around this time of year, and then all of a sudden come November, you're well, I no longer feel like practicing.
I'm going to get out the Christmas decoration, so I'm actually Father Christmas now.
That's the thing. A lot of witches cannot make the leap from going to spooky divination and stuff like that into something that's more hearth witchery, hearth and home, making, finding comfort magically in a time of basically the crone time of year.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Winter is a cold mistress, man. It affects a lot of us. First and foremost, I think there's nothing wrong with you not having a super dedicated practice. There's 100%. Nothing wrong with being a casual witch. We don't want anybody listening to this to think that we're oh, you're not doing a ritual 4 times a week? You're a bad witch. No, that's not it.
In that case, I'm a bad witch because I do not do rituals.
There's nothing wrong with being extra spiritual in a time in which we are in a spooky season, and divination is great at this time. And similarly, depending on your cultural background, remembering the dead and stuff like that, this might align with that. And so there's nothing wrong with being, extra in touch with your spirituality during this time of the year over other times of the year. Nothing wrong with it.
100%. Even for myself.
Witch, yeah. If you are a seasonal witch, it's fine. We're not trying to shit on you. We're trying to give tips to avoid that if that's what you want. So just to preface.
Yes. Yes. Just to preface. Because even me, like during this time of year, I do feel more into my witchy element. But when I go forth into the other months, I know that I am still like a witch, even if I don't do like spell work or anything for a week or more.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tips and tricks, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
First and foremost, I think that like my own personal whatever is focusing on your own wheel of the year. This can be one that comes off of the pagan wheel of the year if you want to, or your own internalized wheel of the year. Which that's going to vary depending on where you live, what your social life is like, what your home life is like, etc. And finding ways to incorporate your practice into your personal wheel of the year. So moving past, spooky season and going into winter season, start focusing on those things. So what do you normally do every year at Christmas time, let's say? I can't answer that for you. Only you can answer that question. What is your normal wintertime routine, if you will, right? And incorporate a little bit of magic into that. That's what I would start with. Maybe that is decorating differently or learning the properties of the things that you do bring into your home, like cedar, juniper, mistletoe, Yule, I don't know, other shit that that looks like Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah. And then I also like, especially around that time of year, I do concentrate on like kitchen witchery because, cooking during the Crone part of the year is very like we're cooking huge meals or cooking comfort food, stir your like stews clockwise, add ingredients with intention. It's really, it's like standing over a cauldron and like putting stuff in it. Make it fun,
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to word this, but it doesn't need to be super elaborate. There are several paths that are very ritual-based paths, right? But unless you're like Thelema, like you don't need to be hyper, ritualized if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And like that I completely agree. You can do a little bit at a time. I know in our Discord, for example, we often mention to our patrons, like a simple way to just connect with your guides every day, for example, is pull one tarot card. Just one, a single card, and sit with it. Pull it once a week and just sit with it and look at it and think about it. Think about what that means. Think about like all the concepts of it. What's the symbolism in it? What's the colors, the numerology? I mean, just that little act can connect you back into your path or keep you connected on your path really simply. It doesn't need to be this grand, elaborate thing. Like, sure, maybe you're not going to be Witch of the Woods with beautiful photo shoots and stuff like that during winter time. But, you know, that's the superficial stuff, right?
100%.
And there's nothing wrong with the superficial stuff, right? But that's the superficial stuff. So let's instead focus on the actual practice and just do little things. Simple little things. It doesn't need to be deep.
Books and movies make it seem like that you have to have everything look perfect. You have to have, everything has to be perfect. But once, this is unrealistic. We as humans are messy and imperfect, and your practice and spell work is going to be too. When you go to a spell and it's not perfect, you know what? You're making it personal. You're making it your own. And that's important.
I know Maria and I have talked about before, I don't know if we talked about it here, but we've definitely talked about it again in the Patreon, about making your own correspondence and kind of how you do that intuitively over time and stuff like that. And this is a great time to start practicing that stuff, looking at the baseline correspondence and building from there. Because the fact of the matter is a lot of this information that is very easily accessible on social media and online is based off of, a very European traditional sort of craft, right? And that might not work for you. So maybe during the wintertime, start exploring your own ancestry and kind of what your wheelhouse is like and diving deeper into that. Even if you aren't actively practicing your witchcraft every day, having an invested interest in your own wheelhouse will only serve you later.
Yeah. And, you know, starting a new practice is so exciting and empowering. But then all of a sudden, like when November comes around, it becomes like this huge, monstrous task because we find out that we still have to learn. We have to hold ourselves accountable for learning. We find out that
Harmony
witchcraft
Nice book that we read wasn't enough. What?
Yeah. And we find out, you know, witchcraft isn't about instant gratification. You still have to keep reading. You still have to look up things when you feel confused. Do the work, hold yourself accountable, utilize the resources you have available. There's so many different means to attaining like information nowadays, thanks to the web. 19 years ago, all I had was seriously a library, which had only books on like history and a single shelf at a bookstore. And that was it. My options are very
years
limited.
Ago, all I had was depression.
Well, look, I watched The Craft and I wanted to do some research. So that's what I did.
A Kabbalah tarot deck I got from an outlet mall. So I pretty much had my shit together 19 years ago. So drop that down.
But like...
It's true, though. It doesn't need to be this, like, grand thing that you have to have all these tools and you have to be Instagram worthy. Like, Maria and I both are artists. I went to art university. She's a professional photographer. We are both artists. Don't use our social media as a standard for what your practice needs to look like. Like, that's because 100%. We are both visual people. And so therefore, our space is going to always look prettier because we have the literal knowledge and tools to make it aesthetically pleasing for the eye. That's something that I take passion in.
Take away from your own practice.
Exactly. That's something I take passion in. That's something I know Maria takes passion in because we're artists. That does not mean that your altar, as an example, needs to be this picture perfect thing. Your altar, for example, might in your practice be more important to have balance. It might be important to have, herbs from your garden. It might be more important to just have books that you have read and like a minimal amount of tools. Somebody in our Discord, I don't remember who at this moment, and so if you're listening, I'm really sorry. I don't remember which one of you it was. Their altar fits in an Altoid tin, literally, and she pulls it out, and it's this whole like cloth and crystals, and it's a whole thing. But she fits it quite literally into an Altoid tin. And
that is so cute. I love it.
It's so cute. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I will be making one. But you could be doing that too. And don't use social media ever for any aspect of life as the standard that you feel you need to keep up, because my altar, for example, Maria's altar, for example, is not a reflection, what you see on social media, of our practice. What we do on our practice is private, intimate, and is literally between us and our own like path, our own guides, our own ancestors, deities, whomever. And don't use social media as a marker for what you think you need to keep up with, because you're going to burn out regardless of what you do with your life, whether it's witchcraft or fucking beach volleyball. It is never going to be something that you can attain based off of social media, because it is a small percentage of what somebody's actually doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, like I do think separating social media from your practice is a huge step, and separating social media from your life is a huge step. Right. You should not hold yourself up to unattainable standards when you first get started. There is an energy that you have to know how to do everything right away, but it takes time, and it especially takes time to find out how best to do things magically in your personal way and in a way that resonates with you. I mean, the way that I practice magic has like evolved and changed like a lot throughout the years, and it wasn't until my 30s that I did make it like deeply personal in a way that where my practice is like, I know is 100% serving me in a way that is making me a better person.
It's a journey.
Does that make sense?
It's 100% a journey.
It is.
And like, really, the main thing I want to say is don't use social media as a standard. I know that I post and Maria posts our altars, right, online, but what you don't see is that I have 2 other altars that never get shown on social media ever. And they never will. And if you hear this and you ask me, I'm just going to block you. So don't even ask. But there are other aspects of people's paths that don't get shared because they're very intimate, they're very private, and they're not for the internet. So don't use it as a standard. Instead, start learning about what you want for yourself, what interests you. Read.
Yeah. Remember why you started. And you started, you started this path because it empowers you. It makes you feel like you can take on the world. Do spells that help navigate your problems outside of your practice. And when you see real change happening, you will get hooked. You'll still keep doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. It just take it easy, be nice to yourself, and read. Read as much as you can. I know that we've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Get a freaking library card and go to your local library. It's free. And there's online resources where you can tap into the entire database. And you can get ebooks on there for free. And they're legally sourced. There is no reason that we can't go to the library, get a library card, and read. If you can. They've got audiobooks on there if you're somebody who struggles to focus in reading. I know I do. I listen to audiobooks all the time. There are so many options that are so accessible. Read. Find what, ignites your spark. Read about your own ancestry and your own wheelhouse and go with it.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, and keep your reading varied. Do not just stick to one thing, because you'd be very surprised about if you start exploring other different types of witchcraft that something might resonate with you. But please be respectful.
Please be respectful. I personally believe that you should read everything that you possibly can get your hands on. And a lot of it is not going to resonate with you. You're never going to use it, and it's going to be a flop. But you learn something from it. And learning something from it means that you can apply that knowledge to other things that you read about, other things in your own practice that can help you grow. And it just read. Please read. Please.
Yes. Read.
Please read. Get a library card, guys. It's great. I used one for years. I don't have a local library near me right now because I live in the friggin' woods. But when I lived in San Francisco for 10 years, you can best believe I went to the local library every week. So it's free. Yeah. It's accessible. And especially in 2020, when we have the online database, you don't even have to go in.
Especially because a lot of, I know libraries, especially in the South, do not have a metaphysical section and New Age section. So having the online resource is amazing.
And you can request them too. So at your local library, you can request them to put books in the database. So you can say hey guys, I really want the Cunningham Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, right? I literally just looked to the side and saw that book, and so I read I want that book. Can you get it for me? They'll either bring it to your local library as soon as they can, or they can direct you to how you can find it online through the library, so that way you can get an ebook. And I just implore you to read as much as you can. It's wintertime. You can't go outside and be a sexy in your little bikini. So instead, be a snuggy with a book. Or an audiobook.
Do that kitchen witchery.
Or even documentaries. There's a lot of documentaries that talk about things.
I love documentaries. And YouTube personalities. Watch them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do it.
Yes.
Except for some YouTube people. I'm not going to name any names, but there's a few of you out there that I am keep your wildfire witchcraft to yourself. Anyway.
Well, I do want to mention one witchy YouTuber that you should be watching, and it's Mint Fairy. She's amazing. She's
yes, you should love Min Fairy. You should kiss her. World.
Oh, she's amazing.
She's so knowledgeable and she's so kind, and she says things in a way that is so easy to digest. I love her 100%. So much. I know we had her as our very first guest on here. If you haven't already listened to that episode, you should go listen to it because she's a literal angel. Yeah, I second that. Min Fairy, 12 out of 10. Okay. We kiss. Yes.
So, Robyn, what is stirring your cauldron right now?
Why do you sound like a sex worker when you say that?
I love it.
It's very sexy. Phone sex.
You will not take it away from me.
Listen, I will do it every episode. I am rock fucking hard right now. Speaking of, nope. Anyway, like gonna gross all of our listeners out. What is stirring my cauldron this week is protecting my own energy and working on, not working on, that's the wrong word. Creating reinforced boundaries. I was being a bit of a pissy crybaby on the internet last week. If anybody missed that, that's for your own benefit. And I'm just reminding myself basically that it's that I like have got this shit and that I'm fine. And it's doing more meditating, doing more grounding, and just doing shadow work and stuff to stop being such a pissy crybaby. I was being a pissy crybaby last week, and I did not like that version of myself because I am not a pissy crybaby as a human person. I make fun of pissy crybabies because I'm a tough guy. I'm a tough guy. I know you can't see it, but I just like did like this like boxer stance when I said that. So.
I'll say, did you take us to the gun show?
I did actually. So everyone, you now know that you have been taken to the gun show. Admire me accordingly. But yeah, it's for me. What is stirring my cauldron right now is just reminding myself that I'm a badass bitch. I'm the baddest witch in town, and just being grounded and not letting other people affect me because other people's opinions of me are none of my business. And it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. No,
it doesn't
You're the
matter.
Supreme anyways.
True. I am actually the Supreme, so that is actually true. Thank you.
No problem.
But
I definitely agree.
Yeah, no, you're good. Instagram has been really mean to me the last week, and I let that get to me, which is so stupid. And so instead of continuing to be upset about it, I've been just focusing on the things I can control, like protecting my own energy, grounding, and just being myself. And that's all I can be, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's stirring my cauldron this week, is just protecting my own energy, which is important. It's important for all of us. And especially when you do things like social media, whether you have 5 followers or 5 million followers, there's always going to be that air of vulnerability, and people aren't always going to like what you put out. And that's okay. And I need to remember that. And so, yeah, that's what's stirring my cauldron. It's the fact that I remembered that, other people's opinions don't fucking matter.
Yeah. As we mentioned earlier in the podcast, having like that, distinction between social media and real life. I just, especially around this time of year, I really have to like avoid, like I do go on like Instagram and social media to do what I need to do. And I respond to as many people as I can, but unfortunately, I do not have the time to like devote myself 120% to social media. So I do have to concentrate my life outside.
Not unfortunately. And I don't even like that word, actually, saying unfortunately in regards to that, because we're human beings, not robots programmed to respond to everybody, and we do the best that we absolutely can. I know I do. I know Maria does too. But we're just straight up not going to get to everybody. We get a lot of messages every day. We're doing our best. So just, I'm not saying be nice to us because, we've got it hard. Oh, influencers, what a difficult life. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say don't take it personally, because we're not trying to be rude to you. We're doing our best.
Like
so please be understanding.
Yeah, we literally do not have personal assistants. Like it's just us. We do not
also don't get paid to be on Instagram. A very common misconception. Yeah. Influencers do, like, Instagram doesn't pay us to be there. I don't know why people think that anyway, I don't want to like go into a whole tangent, but week is protecting my energy, reminding myself that I am a badass bitch and that dumb incels on the internet don't affect me.
Yes.
And I love that.
And boundaries are important. Boundaries are so important.
And I love that for me.
Please use boundaries. Utilize boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. Yes.
Boundaries are normal.
People hate them, but guess what? It'll make you feel so much better.
And people not liking you creating boundaries is a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. So jot that down, put it in your pocket, and take it home. So, Maria, in my least sex worker voice alive, what is not stirring your cauldron this week?
Oh, thank you for asking. So, what isn't stirring my cauldron is TERFs apparently are claiming the word witch. I didn't even know this was a thing until J.K. Rowling posted a photo of herself in a shirt about being a witch that doesn't burn. But after some research, it's a thing. I was already, hugely disappointed in her before this even began due to her anti-trans stance. And I want to make it perfectly clear. Just now she and other TERFs are saying that they are part of our community, and a community, mind you, that is filled with so many amazing souls with many different gender identities who deserve this space. Like, I get it. There's always going to be bad people in every community, including ours. But regardless, that energy and mentality isn't welcome in a community where people are using their personal magic to step into the power or to reclaim it from people in situations that have taken it from them. This goes especially for trans witches who have been through hell and are finally finding an ounce of freaking happiness through their practice. You already destroyed part of their childhood by being a closed-minded bigot, so you don't get to say that you are a part of our community, a community that is constantly fighting against hate and warped views only to spread your hate and warped views. You don't get to use your trauma that was inflicted on you by cis men to hurt a marginalized group of people who are hurting enough. They have finally found a place and a space where they feel welcomed and loved, and you are not going to take that from them. Period.
Preach, girl. Preach.
Yeah.
Woo! I wish I had something to add there, but I feel like you fucking nailed it. And now you need to take us to the gun show.
Oh, I'm taking you. You can't see it right now.
No, I completely agree with everything Maria just said. Yeah. If you're a fucking TERF and you're listening to this, why? We've made a very clear stance on where we stand since the get-go. This is a pro Black Lives Matter, pro LGBTQIA plus podcast, pro basically all the really liberal shit. So if you are not that, what are you doing here, man? Get out of here. I say it all the time on my social media. No. If you're following me and you believe in anti any of that rhetoric, fuck off. What are you doing here? It's laughable.
It makes me so angry. It makes me so angry. So angry.
100%.
Don't hurt my babies. Don't hurt my babies. Don't hurt them.
Fuck
I will fight you.
We don't claim them. 1000%. Fuck J.K. Rowling. TERFs are disgusting. I feel like there's not a lot more that needs to be said there. Fuck them.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Well, sweet tiny babies, after that rant, let's move on to something a little lighter.
They live for it.
Yeah, if you're new here with us, we talk about creators that we are loving right now. These are non-paid for sponsorships or ads. They never will be. If you DM us asking to be on here, I'm going to kick you right in the eyeball. I'm going to use my big toe and I'm going to put it in your eye. And then I'm going to block you. Please don't ever ask us that. These will never be paid for ads. I can't believe I keep on having to say this. That being said, Maria, who's the first creator that you are super loving right now?
So I'm actually going to mention a book, and it's Llewellyn's book of Correspondences, and it's like this huge book. It's humongous. It is a textbook, but like it has literally every single correspondence that you can think of. You want to look up protection? It not only gives you protection, but it tells you different types of herbs and crystals you can use for specific like protection work. Like if you want psychic protection, there's herbs for that. There's crystals for that. It is humongous. It's a big boy. And it has it's a big boy.
It's a big boy.
But it literally has anything and everything you can think of. Now it's all like, I loved the Scott Cunningham encyclopedia of like herbs and stuff, but this correspondence book, like it's a book that they drew from all different types of like authors from the past, like, and it's just all the resources in one, including Scott Cunningham stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
Love that so much. I actually have that book coming my way because after I saw it on the list for our little whatever for this week, our little schedule, I was like, well, what's that? And so I bought it. So I will have that soon as well.
So good.
Who I am loving this week.
Who you loving?
Oh, I'm loving. Oh, girl. I'm loving Witchswap this week. I've always loved Witchswap. I know that I've promoted them for a while on my social media because I genuinely love Witchswap and I love kind of the idea behind it. Basically, the creator, Jane, who is an absolute angel, lived in a rural area and not a lot of witches around her, right? So she created a pen paling service that you could sign up for, and you can write letters or send care packages to like randomly assigned people. So that way you can basically build your own community, if you will, of people while also like giving and getting. And I think it's so cute and so important. And as somebody who lives in a super rural area myself, I live for the idea of it. And I know I've mentioned Witchswap probably at least once in the past, even in passing on here. But if you're not already following Witchswap, or if you are a solitary practitioner who feels a little isolated, I really recommend following them and even potentially signing up, because I think the program is important and cool and something that really has this opportunity to bring us as a community together. And going back to kind of our earlier discussion of keeping up with your practice to avoid being a seasonal witch, why not get excited about having a cool witchy pen pal and working through stuff together, whether that's writing letters or sending care packages. I just think it's cool. It's important. And if you have the affordability to send care packages, for example, I think it's cool. And I think you should do it. And yeah, I think it's great. Everyone should sign up for it. Go look at Witchswap. I think they're incredible.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like to get like packages in the mail? I mean, it's addicting and it's so much fun. Especially not knowing what you're receiving. I mean, that's exciting.
Well, that's the thing, right? So I did it once, right? Jane actually sent me a package so that way I could do the whole experience and review it, right? This was like almost a year ago now. And they have you fill out a whole questionnaire about your own practice. So that way the person who gets you as like a care package swap person knows a little bit about you, about what you like, and therefore can get an idea of what kind of stuff to send you. Yeah, it's so cool. Love it. Like, I love it. I really, really think you guys should look into it and possibly even sign up. At the bare minimum, follow them, because she also shares a bunch of really useful information, and it's just a really great community, and I think you should look at it.
Do it.
We hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and we hope to see you on October 16th for our 17th episode. So keep an eye out on our Instagrams and our Twitters. You can follow us there. On both. Our Twitter is Coffee Cauldrons, and I try my best to keep it updated, but we'll see. I'm not that great at it, but you should follow us there anyway.
Or even better, you can join us on our Discord tier, which is First Coven, on our Patreon, so we can answer your questions next time.
Yes, and you'll get to hear our lovely voices for an additional 30 minutes for being on the Patreon tier, casting and up.
Yes, and again, this is Coffee and Cauldrons
with Robyn from Addie Tired Witch on Instagram.
And Maria at Maria the Arcane on Instagram. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. One, two, three. Bye, witches!
That stupid lag. Hate the lag.